All right, welcome back to Axoschools. We've been learning about DNA for 2 days now. So if you haven't watched those videos, you might want to pause here and go back and do that so that it makes a lot more sense. And our activity for today is making an origami DNA double helix, and it will look something like this, which is resembling all of those staircase and pictures of the double helix I showed you before. Yesterday, I asked my friends to print out and color their DNA sheet. They chose a color for each of their nucleotides and did an awesome job. So they got to pick 4 different colors for each of our bases. Before we get started though, let's review some of that vocabulary.
Yep. And the first thing you need to remember is what is a nucleotide. So nucleotides are the things that make up DNA.
Yeah, and we got to pick the colors for each of our bases. Bases are the nucleotides. It's just another name for them, and they're represented by four letters, not 4 letters. Not cat. CATG. Or you can remember that by saying cat and G. You're just gonna have to remember the G.
All right. The C stands for cytosine, the A for adenine, the T for thymine, and the G for guanine. Mandana, will you tell us the colors you chose for each of your nucleotides?
Sure. A is red, T is yellow, G is green, and C is blue.
We also got to pick the sequences for our DNA. So all of ours are going to look a little bit different because we put different nucleotides in different orders.
Remember, the nucleotides have best friends and only like to be bonded or like to be bind together with their best friends.
That's right. This is what we call complementary base pairing. Cytosine, or the C, binds with guanine, or the G, and adenine, the A, binds with thymine, the T. Can anyone think of a trick or remember the ones we talked about yesterday to remember which nucleotides bond together?
Oh, yeah, I remember one. The C and the G are both curvy letters, so they go together, while A and T are both pointy letters, so they like each other.
Another way you can remember this, in our last video we gave this example, is A goes with T, so that'd be apples in a tree, and C goes with a G, so that'd be a car in a garage.
All right, so we're gonna get into our activity for today, but it's gonna require a lot of listening skills, so be prepared. Listen carefully because it can be confusing. The orientation of your paper is important when you print it out. The diagonals should be pointed downward toward the center as Mandy is showing you right now. Once you have that correct orientation, you'll need to write the A, C, T, G nucleotide letters down the right side of your paper. So you can see that Mandy wrote those letters down the right side of her paper. You should use all 4 nucleotides, but you can put them in any order you want. So it should look a little bit like Mandy's. Yes, Karosh?
Actually, you said what I was going to say. I was just going to say you can literally put any of the letters in any order you want. If you wanted to do G, 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 C, G, 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 you could do that. Or like whatever order you want. Just list them. You don't have to copy Mandy's order. It'll work out no matter what.
And the more variation you do, the cooler your double helix will turn out to look. But as you can see here, I did a couple in order, or I switched back and forth. So whatever design you want to do, every DNA molecule is going to look different.
My example is just my first few letters are G-A-G-C-A, or like yours are probably way different.
Mine are cat, act, G-G-G-C-A-G. Mandana.
You went in the cat act order?
I literally did mine in random orders. I placed random letters out of those letters in random orders.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Perfect.
As long as you have those 4 letters in any order you want, it's not like you can throw a Z in there, right? We know it has to be C, G, A, or T, right? It has to be those. That's the only constraint. All right, the next thing you're going to want to do is write the corresponding base. This one is tricky because you need to skip the first blank, So see, when you look at my paper, you'll notice that this is blank, right?
Do
So
you
you
want
have
to
to
pin
skip
your
that
video?
blank. What's Croche?
You should probably pin your video to make it big so they can see your paper.
Oh,
better.
good thinking. Good thinking. Let's do that.
Excellent. We're still
I-
learning this
We're
recording
still
stuff.
learning. Okay.
I had
so
to
you
do
can
that
see-
with math earlier with Danielle.
Good point, Croche. Thank you for that. So yeah, you just have to skip this center part so that you can match here. There's a reason that my top are not colored in. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But in the middle section, you write the complementary base pair diagonally. So I've got my A binds with my T, my C binds with my G, my T with my A, and so on. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, we can see that. So just make sure that you write it on that diagonal. It's not pairing straight across. It's on that diagonal line is where the pairs are going to go.
Yep. So, Mandana, what binds with A?
T.
Good. So the T is going to go where? On here we've got the T, right?
So when we have the A, it's gonna go diagonally down to the T. I mean, wait, to the T.
That's the
Good.
most important part. You don't write the T and the A on the same line. The
Nope.
T is one level below. The C and what's next? G is one level below that.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to ask you, Karosh. What binds with C?
G, because car in a garage. So you just put a G one level below that.
Yep, you can see where I'm pointing to that, right? At a diagonal. That's very important. So, Mandana, what pairs with the T in this scenario? Or always, really?
Not would be A.
Exactly. So you can see
So
diagonally.
you have like your T up here. You would have your A diagonally down here.
Good. And make note that I have skipped this blank space here, right? I am filling them in the center on this, in the second blank. That's important too.
Yep. So everything's diagonal, and that's what you're going to want to do all the way down the right side of your paper, and then write those complementary base pairs all the way down the center. But remember, they have to be paired on the diagonal. Yes, Karosh?
Also, like on my sheet, I have my letters on this side, like Danielle said, and then these letters in the middle. But also, it's your choice. You can do this to help you or not. Mandy also wrote hers on the left side, but I mean, yeah, left side, but I left my left side completely empty just because I can follow it with my eyes or memory, but Mandy did that to help herself out, you know?
And that is a very helpful tool. It might become a little bit more confusing when we do the folding, because when I give you those instructions, it will say fold over the blank side. And now Mandy has letters there.
I filled them in.
But you can mark those letters maybe with a dot, or Mandy marked them out after she was done with them. And that will let her know when we get to the folding what side she needs to fold down so that we can no longer see it. So let's talk about something else you need to do before you start coloring. You're gonna wanna take a pencil or a Sharpie. It doesn't really matter. It depends on how you want it to look. And right down the middle of your paper, you're gonna wanna lightly draw or just draw a line.
So
you may wanna use a ruler.
Here, in between my colors, like in between my green and pink, right there is the separating line, which I use to know where my colors go.
Yep, you might want to use a ruler or something like a big book so that you can get that line as straight as possible. And like Karosh said, that's going to help you know what to color. So we've seen that. Once you get this done, you have to pick your colors that represent your nucleotides.
Karosh, what do we do next?
Sorry. You can pick any colors you want. Just make sure you always use the same color for the same space. So, to explain this, like, with that random order that I have, I chose pink for G. So if I go down, I have G right here, and it's pink. So now my next G is also pink. My next G is also pink. And it's the diagonal all the way to that corresponding letter over here that you're going to do pink, but only halfway. And all of my G's are pink. And then in the middle, you see these ones are G's, so pink, 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 pink. And same thing with the other colors. My A is red, so you know what I did, or A is orange, so you know what I did with all my A's.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So here's the other tricky part, and Krosh kind of already showed with his example, but I'm going to show you as well, just because this is where people kind of get a little messed up, okay? So the first letter that I have is A, right? So that A, I colored in pink, okay? So I used dots to help me so that I could color them in later. So I designated A as pink, so I need to color this pink. And then I know that A binds with T, okay? So I've got T over here, and I designated that T would be blue. So I've got pink, and then I've got blue, okay? Because that's the color I decided to use for thymine. So now I color this side blue, and over here I will color it blue again, okay? So kind of like a wing, right? So I've got pink, blue, blue, and then that's going to bind with another A. So I designated that pink as well. So it'll be pink, blue, blue, pink. This is going to make a lot more sense as to why we color it this way when we get to folding the portion of our origami. So excited for that.
Yep.
So,
All right, Krosh, what's up?
Mandy, maybe you could like point the camera down and show them you coloring each corresponding space.
Absolutely. That's a good idea. While we kind of move on, I will be coloring those.
Yep. So I know we've told you that a lot of these things can be tricky, but Mandy is going to help us through one more tricky part after she outlines those for us. The tricky parts go at the top and the bottom of your DNA, because these are the things that kind of run off the page. And you can choose whatever combination you want. You just have to make sure that your base pairs are still the same color. So let's look at Mandy's example. Mandy, can you point to that A that is at the very top in the middle that
Yes.
you have? So Mandy chose for her A to be represented by pink. So the two spaces that are next to that A are both going to be pink. The base that binds with adenine, the A, is the thymine, which is T. Mandy chose for that to be blue. So that is going to be blue in those little itty bitty spots there. Hold on, Krosh, I see you. At the bottom, when we let Mandy kind of color this a little bit.
Sorry, I'll do a scribbly job for now and come back later, okay?
Oh yeah, we can just use Creases here. All right, so Mandy, you take your time coloring, make it pretty, and
Okay,
we'll use Creases.
All right.
At the bottom, you have a letter on the right side of your page. So Krosh has an A at the bottom on the right side of his page. So we know that both the right outside and the left outside, can we see your whole paper? Yep, both of those right outside and left outsides of that bottom one are gonna be red. And his T is also represented by blue, like Mandy's. So even though we don't know that that diagonal thing in the middle, written down there where his finger is pointing, is supposed to be a T, we do know that its base pair is blue. So
technically right here would be a T, but it's invisible. So just like this T right here has a blue and a blue, because there's a T right here, even though it's invisible, this would be blue and this would be blue. So that tells you that these two little spots right here that's separated with this diagonal line would be blue and blue. And Mandy showed you the top. You'd do the exact same thing, just the opposite direction. My T would have an A.
Mm-hmm. So we know that some of these parts are tricky, but this is supposed to be a fun project. So just make sure that when you color something one color, it's with its buddy pair. All right, Krosh, you are an origami expert. So you may need to help us figure out some of this folding stuff. If you can't tell by our cover photo for today, that is itty bitty Krosh when he had his own origami channel. So we're going to be relying on you. But everybody show us what their colored versions look like. And you might have to take off your background if you have one on, or make sure you get it up there so that we can see your picture.
That photo that I just put up is the photo Danielle was talking about. I used to have an origami channel, and that's just like a screenshot that my friends posted online of me.
I love it.
Oh.
Oh, Croche.
You might not always get this right. I realized that I actually had pink up here when the T corresponds with A. So since there is an invisible A here, this would be orange, not pink. So just over the pink, I drew orange. No big problem.
Great correction. Awesome job. I love the colors that everybody's chosen. I had to go a little bit obscure with pink, black, blue, and green because that was all I could find for my colors, but these look great. So let's get started with our origami folding. I'm going to give you all of the instructions so that you guys can follow along and fold. Make sure that you listen to each step and make sure that you make good creases because that's going to be the key thing that helps us in the end when we're actually twisting our molecule. So before you start doing your folds, this is going to be a test of your instructions. All of my friends have cut out their things from the different sides, so we don't need.
There are these papers. We just cut them off, just around your box.
And if you guys have any questions, I can help you out as much as possible because I did get a final product yesterday. Mandy, you do not need those scissors anymore. You are good to go just like that.
That's right. We already cut around. You're exactly right.
All right. So everyone flip your paper over so that that colored side is down. Excellent. And fold that paper in half like a hot dog, or what did you call it yesterday, Kurosh?
For people who know origami, folding in half like a hot dog would be a valley fold.
A valley fold. Learn something new every day. Be careful to make the creases accurately because you're going to want this to look good and it can turn out to look really good. You should make the creases using your fingernail or just press really hard with that, and you should have one strand of your DNA on each side. So you guys go ahead and give me a thumbs up when you get that done. That looks great, Mandy. Good job, Donna. That's
a thumbs up have to be awkward because the camera's facing down.
All right. Okay. So if you guys could look at your molecules, you should see a thick horizontal line on one side separating the boxes as they go down. On the other side, it's going to be a thin line. Yep, Mandana is showing us that thick line. So what we're going to do, that's the thin line. Yep, we're actually going to fold along that thin line. So make sure you locate that. So you're going to fold along each.
Both sides have different thin lines.
Right, I'm talking about the horizontal.
Okay, the horizontal thin line?
Horizontal thin line. You're going to fold along each thin line. The thin line should be on the inside of your fold, so you can use the thick line on the outside to kind of help you try to line that up if you want. Does that make sense?
Another way you could do it is just bring the edge down to the next thin line and then crease this middle thin line. So just do that for every single line until you have creases in each one.
The thin line is going to be on the inside of your fold, so you won't be able to
brought it down to this one. Now I'm just going to move this to the next line and just go. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to skip that one and go to the next line and just work and then keep on skipping.
And we're folding in. You said
all the way down.
Thin line goes inside. All right, Mandana, let me see your paper. Okay, that's the thick line, so put the thin line on the other side. There you go. All right, set that paper down just like that. And now you are going to make one fold of your paper on that first thin line that you see across. Except you want it to be on the inside, so go the other direction. Yep, now fold that down and make sure you make each crease good. And we're gonna go all the way down that paper, folding each thin line individually. Everybody?
And then do I go like this, or do I like go like
you unfold it and then you fold down on the next thin line.
If you're using it method and you go all the way to the bottom, once you do that, you could just go back through, recrease them all, and then just flip your paper over and do it the exact same way. Now, not this way over, but you're just gonna turn it around and then you could do the exact same thing with the other half of the paper, and then you'll get all the lines you need.
So if I wouldn't have filled in my letters, my blank side is to my left, correct?
I don't know if I'm doing this correctly.
Yeah, Mandana, I see you. You're doing it correctly. Just make sure you make those creases really good on each of those thin lines. Yep, that's perfect. Use that fingernail to do it.
So if so this might be a little tough, but at the end you get a really cool DNA that you could maybe put up on a desk.
True. It's gonna be worth it.
Might be made out of paper, but it could be sturdy.
I know. I want to get some kind of stand to make it stand up. All right, how are we doing, my origami experts?
Doing good.
The expert is the man.
Yes.
I know his folds are looking really good. When I was doing this yesterday, I mean, I was doing what Mandy's doing. I was scratching
really
that
creasing.
thing with my fingernail to make sure that it is
And
folded.
then while I'm waiting, I'll just go over every single crease one more time. And this shouldn't be too hard because you'll already have every crease creased.
True. All
Wait,
right.
do you have to go over it again?
No, I'm just doing that to make it solid creases.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're just folding across on those thin lines, making good creases. And then once we're done, if you want to keep going over it, that's fine. Or you can just stop and hang out.
I ain't an expert, so I'm gonna hang out.
That's fun.
Yep,
It's a bracelet. If you want to stop now, you get a free bracelet.
there you go. Cute.
Okay, so do I keep it halfway or should I open it?
You're gonna have to keep folding all of those thin lines. So now if you make it halfway, you should go, Karosh, can you explain that again?
So once you fold it and you've gotten all the way down, just open it up, back up, flip it this way, and then do the rest of the creases.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I get it.
And make sure you're not folding on every line because that would put creases in between your lines. Just fold. So the way you would go is this line and then skip that and go to this line and then skip that one, go to this line to make sure you don't put creases in between your lines.
I put creases in between the lines.
You know what? It's okay. We're
That's
gonna
all right.
figure it out.
Like I said, I ain't an expert.
Hey, that's okay.
me neither. Mistakes might be made over here.
Mhm.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's fine.
I want mine to look like yours, though. Danielle, yours turned out really well.
That's just defective DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a mutation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting like stuff on
I
my
think I've
table.
done it right so far. Mine looks like the experts.
If you did it right, you should be able to make a heart. Yeah.
I like that.
I'm gonna have to clean my table after this because I'm getting like crayon all over it.
Yeah.
All right, so make sure you're doing it only on the thin lines, like Karosh said. The thin.
Yeah, I am. I'm getting
Horizontal.
Because
only
one
on
side has
the-
thick lines and one side has thin. Okay. What do we do next once we get that part? Mandana.
All right, so now you're going to turn it over, find those thick horizontal lines, and you should be able to see very thin diagonal lines, right?
Yeah.
All right,
Very
this is
thin
very
diagonal.
important.
Okay.
Very important. Make sure the crease doesn't extend into the white border. You're just gonna want to do it on those thin diagonal lines.
You're talking about this white border?
Correct, yeah. So only really press that crease
On those parts.
on the colored parts.
Okay. So it's flipped like this now that we're on the thick side, right?
And the thin line should be the one you're folding on the inside.
Folding in. But
Karosh, can
only-
you give us an example of what this
I
looks
just want to
like?
know, is this correct?
Yes.
Okay, so best way to explain this is just
Nice, Mandana.
take the thin crease. So see that thin line? Just take it and along that line, just squeeze it like, it's hard to show, but like this, Just squeeze it and make sure you don't fold into this white area. This should still be a perfect line. If that's not like still straight, then you didn't fold it perfectly along this middle line.
And make sure you don't go into that other white area either.
So this part is tricky, Mandana.
I have no idea.
It's okay. So you'll want to flip it so the thick line is on top.
Yep, those thick lines.
Like this?
Yep.
So it's like folded, like it's kind of, yes. And then you're going to fold on the thin line, but only on the colored part, right? So I'm not folding, creasing over the white section. I'm only creasing the colored sections.
The best way I found to describe this is every time you do the fold, if you see this thick line on the opposite side being perfectly along the line, see if I go to the next one, it's perfectly along that thick line right here, then you did it correctly.
And we're folding in towards ourselves.
Did I do it right?
You need to fold it the other direction, but yes, that's the correct
Wait,
line.
so this way?
Yep, and see how that thick line is on the outside there at the top?
Wait, it looks like this now.
Yeah, it should.
Yep,
and now
that's
fold
just right.
all of those thin lines.
So basically how we did on the other lines, but like this?
Yep, you got it.
I still don't know if I'm doing this correctly.
Fold it along the diagonal, and to know if you're doing it correctly, every single fold, just check if this black line is along the diagonal. If it is, you did that fold correct, and then move to the next one.
Ooh, okay. So I guess I am doing the folds correct.
It might not feel right.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I don't think mine feels right either. I'm still a little concerned it's wrong.
Wait, okay, now I'm
It's right.
Okay.
Oh, I did it. Okay.
Good job,
made it.
guys.
I don't even know which line I'm on.
And then once you get halfway, it might be easier to flip it around if you want, but you don't have to.
I can't tell if I'm halfway or not. I'm just doing it.
Oh, just roll with it then.
Yeah, I just kept moving along.
Is this halfway or no?
Just keep
Right,
going.
This
Okay.
one, I didn't do as well. The line isn't here. It's a little under, which means I was a tiny bit off, but that's A-okay because it's right next to it. That's good enough. If you want to bring it down and fix your fold, you can, but you could really just leave it right next to it. So, but that's how you can check if you did the fold correctly or not.
So do we do it like on the
No,
other
right
side or
here.
something?
I think you're doing okay. It is very awkward. All right, so is everybody done with those?
Yes.
Wait, no. Yeah.
With all of the folds?
I need to get the last fold.
That's okay.
Oh, wow, you guys are going fast. I'm taking my time on every fold. I'll step up the speed.
Okay, I did it.
All right, guys.
I did.
Now find the edge that is white and doesn't have your letters written on it. Either one of those ones. Fold that edge down until it reveals your letters on the other side, and then make that long crease.
Wait, like this?
Yep, so your letters should be looking at you now. So you can kind of like,
Okay.
yep, and you want to make a really good crease along that line.
Okay.
So, wait, so which side are we on?
Either side, it doesn't matter, because we're going to do it right now on both sides.
Okay, and which crease are we making?
Fold down the white, you see that white side in your left hand that has no letters on it?
This side?
Yep. You're going to fold that to make sure you can see your letters.
So fold it over.
Correct.
Okay, that's self-explanatory.
Can we do it on the other side as well?
Yep. Turn your paper over and you're going to fold the other white edge down, make a good crease.
A guten Tag crease at all.
You know, my paper is already trying
So
to
it should be opposite of each other.
that shape.
Correct. Yes, it's already
If your
started to
paper
try
is
to
starting
take it.
spin like this, you are doing it correctly.
Yep. Okay, is everybody done with that?
Almost.
Yeah. Wait, no,
Right.
no, N-O. I do not have a good enough crease. Okay, now I do.
Donna
All
starts
right.
talking
Now
into-
partially unfold that fold you just made to 90 degrees on the side of your paper. So can somebody show me that 90-degree
Like that?
angle? Yes, Mandana, perfect. Yes, that looks great.
Just getting my
Okay.
creases real hard, but yeah, I
On
know
both of them? On both sides?
On both sides, yep.
where it's like
Okie dokie.
90-degree angle.
90-degree angle. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Now you're gonna grab the paper from both ends like Mandana's doing, and you're gonna twist it the way that it's already spinning. You're gonna have to be brave because this is where, look at Croches. Yep, look at Mandy's, good job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mandana, be brave, be brave, be brave.
Yes, that's exactly right, Mandana.
Yep, so keep twisting until it starts to fold together, and you can make your creases better if they need to. If not, then you're good to go. Let's see what everybody came up with.
I ended up like this.
That's awesome, Mandana. It looks really good. And if you wanted to fold it together tighter, it would be a more wound molecule.
Yeah, so this isn't the tightest DNA, but if you want to make it tighter without risking like what Manda's trying to not risk and by spinning, you could literally just go back through and recrease with your fingernails every single
look right.
So that's time consuming, so I'm just gonna spin it.
Mandana, you just have to twist it a lot harder. You got to be brave on that. Great job, Mandy.
Look at mine. I've scrunched it up a little ball.
I didn't. Mine is not working.
No, it looks great, Mandana.
Yep. Kind of scrunch it like a slinky into itself as you twist.
Yep. All right, now we've formed our DNA double helix and learned a lot about DNA over the last 3 days and did some really cool activities. Does anyone have anything else to add?
Nope.
That was very cool.
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. So linked below are the templates, instructions, and even a video in case you get stuck on how to fold your DNA. Or you could just watch this one again and do it along with us. There's a link with tons of activities and an interactive DNA double helix. So make sure you check that out, and we will see you next week. All right.
Awesome. Good job,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.